Right now, we are ready for middleweights to get the night started. It is Donte Stubbs against 6-0-2 from Cleveland, Ohio, Fred Wilson Jr. So let's go to ring announcer Mark Chinook.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome inside the MGM Grand here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. This is boxing, presented by Bob Arum's Top Rank, sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. The executive director, Mr. Bob Bennett. Our ringside physicians, David Obert, Brad Lee, Jay Coates, and Zachary Skaggs. Our timekeepers this evening, Jim Cavan and Ernie Hattigi. This bout is scheduled for 6 rounds in the middleweight division. Our judges at ringside, Max DeLuca, Chris Migliori, and Patricia Morse-Jarman. And the man in charge at the sound of the bell, Celestino Ruiz. Fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 159 pounds, wearing red, black, and white trunks. He brings a record of 6 wins, no losses, 2 draws, 2 victories coming by way of knockout. From Cleveland, Ohio, Fred Dynomite Wilson Jr. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 159.5 pounds, wearing purple trunks with white trim. He brings a record of 6 wins, 1 defeat, 2 of those wins by way of knockout. From Riverside, California, Donte Savage Stabbs.
Okay, gentlemen, you received your instruction in the dressing room. I expect a clean fight, start to finish. You're good here. You're a little high up here. Let's do this, guys.
What do you say you take part in the broadcast tonight, folks? Go to espn.hearmecheer.com to have your voice heard. Cheer along, participate live. Well, we've seen Donte Stubbs before, guys. This is a return bubble appearance. He fought last Tuesday, lost a 6-rounder to Isaiah Jones.
Yeah, Joe, that was only 9 days ago.
Don't turn around.
He lost a majority decision to Isaiah Jones, as you just said. He fought well, but just not good enough. And he vows to be better tonight as he gets a second chance in the bubble. As far as Fred Wilson Jr., he's a bit of an unknown from Cleveland. He's a fighter who had a great amateur background, but has had large gaps of inconsistency in his pro career. He's coming off a 10-month layoff and 2 draws. This is a chance to get some momentum in his career tonight.
Stubbs reaching in that time, and then awkwardly they get tangled up. Tim, the first thing you notice is the height advantage with Fred Wilson Jr. He's 6'3", Stubbs is 5'10". Wilson has a 75-inch reach on that frame of carrying 159 pounds.
Yes, Tessin, Stubbs needs to just take his time. He needs to come behind the jab. He's kind of rushing things and falling a little bit short. And you can see Wilson Jr. catching him on the way inside.
Stop! Step back.
First thing I always look for when I see a fighter with that kind of height and that kind of reach is, does he know how to use it? Does he fight like the big man that he is, or does he fight small? And right now, Fred Wilson is fighting like a big man.
Standing at 6'3", I don't understand why a lot of these shorter fighters try to swing for the head. No, hit him in the chest, hit him in the arms, hit him into the body. You know, that target is going to be there for you.
Jimmy.
Stop! Don't punch.
You can see right away, Stubbs already trying to go for the home run, trying to land the right hand over the top. He needs to take his time, slow things down a bit, walk forward, move that head, and come behind the jab. He landed it there unexpectedly, but it will serve him some good if he takes his time.
Don't punch, stop! Step back, box.
A 9-day turnaround for Donte Stubbs Coming to the end of round one to start the night of Top Rank Boxing on ESPN. Stubbs just lost the first fight of his career last Tuesday. Turns right around, 9 days notice, and fights again in the MGM Grand COVID-restricted bubble. And he's in there tonight against Fred Wilson, who's 6-0-2 in his career, from a boxing family. His dad, Fred Wilson Sr., runs the Cleveland Inner City Boxing Club. They're also known as Team 216. You can see the area code printed right on the belt line of Fred Wilson Jr., who has his dad in his corner tonight.
Tim, you had the right instructions for Dante Stubbs to hit the chest of Wilson before he hits the head, but there's no glory in hitting the chest. You can't get on the Sports Center top 10 hitting somebody in the chest, man. You know this.
Well, you got to set these things up, Dre. You know, you just can't be swinging for the home run. Set it up.
Hey, speaking of that, guys, we're going to show you something in a moment that's going to definitely make the Sports Center top 10, because just before we went on the air, the fight that was there at the MGM Grand had a double knockdown in the first round, so we will show you that in just a little bit.
Double knockdown?
Double knockdown, Timmy.
Interesting. Now go. Can't wait to see that. Nice right hand right there from Stubbs.
Box.
Stubbs has finally landed the right hand. He's been throwing the looping right hand, and the taller fighter sees that coming from the shorter fighter, but he just turned that one over quick, and he landed it clean.
Yeah, you see that? You see the range right there, Stubbs? Is that? He's right at mid-range. We call that no man's land. And that's the reason why he keeps getting hit by the long arm Wilson Jr.
Donte, stay on him. We need strong style. Work. We need strong style. You got him. Go. Body head. You heard him.
Stop.
Do not let up.
Stubbs did hurt him with that right hand over the top. If you can see Wilson Jr. tying him up right now and trying to get on his stick.
Watch your head to the body. Or to the body, to the head. Work. Find that jab. Work. Touch one. Lighten up your shots. There you go. Good. Have that left hook.
Let him go. Stop. Don't do that. Stop.
That right there is the MMA in Dante Stubbs coming out and serving him well right now. Former MMA fighter.
He had a 2-4
That's what
record
you're supposed to do.
in MMA.
Here you go. Work.
You know, I can't stand when
It's the way he was doing it, Tim.
Hey, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, I can't stand when guys get so comfortable inside the pocket, they tie each other up and they start hugging, and nobody's working. If you got one hand free, get it working.
Our middleweights are coming to the end of round number 2, and then remember, our main event is heavyweights. Jerry Forrest against the former heavyweight world title challenger Carlos Takam. So Takam, 38 wins into his career, taking on Jerry Forrest. By the way, just moments ago, and Tim, I want your reaction to this. This is what we saw in the locker room of Jerry Forrest. He's about 2 hours away from his ring walk of fighting in the main event, and he took what is basically the MGM Grand Conference Center catering box and started chowing down on, I think it's a roast beef wrap, according to what the guys are telling us. That was right at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock.
Tess, you got to eat your last meal 3 to 5 hours before you fight. 2 hours before, not a good look. You need to have an empty stomach when you're in the ring, because you're getting hit to your body, ladies and gentlemen. You have to understand that.
Dre,
Bad idea.
What do you think, and what was your rule in terms of when you have your last meal before you fight?
Hey, I'm gonna give you a hot warning.
Well, I was always taught you want to fight on an empty stomach. I'm getting most of my energy for the fight the night before. I'm obviously eating a big breakfast, lunch, and then a pre-fight meal. But you want an empty stomach. But that looks like the heavyweight lifestyle. That's something I know nothing about. Maybe that's something those guys do. But as a super middleweight and a light heavy, we didn't do that.
Nobody should do that. I don't care what weight you at. You shouldn't do that. And I'm sure he's going to feel it later tonight in that fight when things get a little heated. He's going to feel it.
Well, I think the question to be asked is that his normal pre-fight schedule and routine, if that's how he goes about his business or not? And we will effort to give you that answer. the roast beef sandwich about 2 hours before you're going to ring walk for the main event.
Donte, step to your right and throw that right hand. Stop. Jimmy.
Good outside work from Fred Wilson when he's able to fight from the outside, but Donte Stubbs is pressing really hard and consistently, and he's willing to take shots to get his shots off, and he's landed a few right hands and left hooks to the body as well.
We were hoping to see Fred Wilson last week, Dre, if you recall, but he had his bout postponed because his opponent tested positive for COVID. So he went back home to Cleveland, then got the call, got this opportunity, comes back out to Vegas to face Stubbs, who did the same thing in terms of being in Vegas. He actually fought, went back home, comes back to Vegas to fight again in the bubble.
Yeah, I respect the flexibility of these fighters that we've seen over the last 5 weeks, because I was a fighter who liked things a certain way. When things weren't like that, I didn't like it, and it could possibly throw me off. So the fact that they're as flexible as they are, I respect it.
Stop. Donte, go.
Hey, that's too low. That's too low.
Box.
Listen, a lot of these fighters are taking these fights on short notice because of the opportunity, man. They on TV, you know, and then they also hungry. You got to think about that as well. You know, I believe that these fighters that's coming in this ring, man, are on a different level, focus-wise and mental.
Stop holding.
Work, baby, work hard. I need that strong. I need that strong. Work, baby. I need that strong. Strong style. Strong style. There you go. There you go.
Knockdown scored.
4, 5, hey, get over there.
Adrian,
Get over.
Donte, let's go.
6, 7, 8. Can you continue? Show me. Walk that way.
Fred Wilson ready to go after being floored at the end of the round. So Donte Stubbs scores the knockdown, Dre, with that wide right hand with about 10 seconds to go in round number 3.
Yeah, well, that right hand had been finding a home in the first 3 rounds. It finally found a home in the right place, and Wilson goes down. If you're the taller fighter, if you're walking out the back door trying to get out of the way, you got to get all the way out of the way. You can't be lazy, because that type of shot can land, and, you know, he's still hurt right now, and Stubbs is coming full force.
Go, baby. You got this. You got this.
Stubbs is kind of learning on the job. You know, he has he's not experienced as most of these professionals that come into this ring with him, but you can see him gathering confidence as he moves forward against Wilson.
Timmy, maybe you have something to do with that, because one of the first things he said to us when we visited with him last night is that he went back and watched the film on his fight 9 days ago, and he said, I really learned on the job a little bit simply by listening to Andre and Tim. He went on to say, I know exactly what I want to do now, and I have to fight my fight, and I have to throw my punches. That wide right hand was his punch of choice with 10 seconds to go in round 3.
Time. 1 point, hold it. 1 point, hold it. 1 point, hold it. Stop holding.
And now point deduction from Celestino Ruiz for excessive holding here in round 4.
Tess, we say a lot on these broadcasts. You know, we talk a lot about strategy. We give a lot of information out to the young fighters out there. If you listen and you pay attention to what we're saying and go back to the drawing board and apply some of these things, trust me, you are going to be a better fighter. And we see it tonight with Stubbs.
I think one thing Fred Wilson needs to apply tonight is he has to get his left hand back up after he jabs. He hasn't recognized that that's the reason he got hit with that right hand, and he's going to be in line to get hit with that right hand again, because Stubbs is looking for that shot. Trust me, he's waiting to get in the right spot, and he's going to unload that overhand right, just like he just missed right there, but he's looking for it.
The best way to set something over the top is to get your opponent's eyes down. So if Stubbs would just drop his level a little bit and start attacking the body, then Wilson, he's going to be worried about the body shots. He's going to forget about the head, and then that's when you sneak him over the top with something hard.
Jimmy gonna stop it. No, that Jimmy
I told you, Tim, what Stubbs is looking for. He's looking for that top 10 knockout. He's looking for you in one of those wild shots. He's not listening to the body work that you're asking for right now.
There he is again.
Two wide sweeping
All
punches.
headshots.
All headshots. Head hunting here. Scored the knockdown at the end of 3 and in control here at the end of 4, and a point deduction for Wilson in that round. Mark Kriegel, Fred Wilson Jr. finds himself in a deep hole here as we start round number 5, but he did have good sparring leading up to this opportunity.
Well, I can tell you one guy who's surprised of how this fight's going is 2016 undefeated pro Olympian Charles Conwell. Turns out they're not just sparring partners, they're best friends, came up together in Cleveland, and Conwell eliminated him from the Olympic trials qualifier. Conwell's scouting report on his pal, he's long, got great feet, great amateur pedigree, and if he didn't fight me, he wouldn't have made the Olympic squad. So make good on that promise. You better pick it up right now and get that left hand up.
No doubt about it. Was knocked down in the 3rd round, had a point deduction for excessive holding in the 4th round. Right now, Dante Stubbs has a power punch connect advantage of 38 to 19.
Oh, it's you now.
Stop.
He got.
Watch your elbows.
Come on, systematic.
Wilson is no doubt the better fighter. He's got more experience, amateur, you know, just a better pedigree than Dante Stubbs, but he's making 2 key mistakes. His left hand is staying down and he's pulling straight back. And it just shows you that just because you're the better fighter on paper doesn't mean that you're going to win the fight. He's getting a lot of pressure put on him right now from Dante Stubbs.
Well, to add to that, he can't fight in the inside. He don't know how. He's a tall fighter. He likes to keep his distance, and that's why I always say work every facet of your game. Even if you're a tall fighter, you got to know how to handle yourself in the inside. And right now, he's getting walked down by Stubbs and taking some big shots. And, you know, Wilson's having some good moments. He is.
There you go. There it is. Touch. Go. Nice. Now work. Stop. Touch underneath. Turn the shots over.
You just see Dante Stubbs lining up that right hand. That means he's looking for it. He's just waiting for the right opportunity. And as the fight progresses, even in a 6-round fight, here it is right there. You start to get fatigued. Mentally, you start to get fatigued, and you start to see less. It's hard to pick up punches. So Wilson just has to have his eyes wide open looking for that right hand, because that's the money shot for Dante Stubbs.
Watch your head, guys. Watch your head.
Let's go. Body head.
Saying, what do you think right now Wilson is doing wrong? He's throwing the jab from a little bit too close. I expect the right hand to catch him over the top as he's throwing the jab from Stubbs.
1, 2. Counter that. Good. Keep that momentum. You got to back it up. Work. Touch. Short.
Just lets the shorter man get right to the inside as well right there.
Shorten him up.
Stop.
Heavy, Donte.
If you're the taller, bigger man, you grab Stubbs, lock him up, make the traffic cop, the referee, come and do his job.
Another long-range right hand, wide sweeping. And it happens also with 10 seconds to go. This time in round 5.
Hey, can you continue? Walk that way, walk back. Walk back. Box.
6th and final round here, and Fred Wilson needs to come up with something big or else he's going to suffer his first loss. Tim Bradley, Dante Stubbs. It was like a repeat performance. 10 seconds to go in a round, and he does this.
Yeah, you see Wilson pulling straight back. He shoots a little jab right there, almost like a jab half hook. And what does he do? Expose himself. Stubbs just followed him out. You know, it's one thing to pull straight back when you're a smaller man. It's another thing to pull straight back when you're a skyscraper. You leave yourself available for big shots like that.
Throw the right hand, left foot body.
One punch. Stop. Turn around.
Listen, Dante Stubbs told his corner that Wilson has nothing for me. I don't think Stubbs is content with looking for a decision win. He's looking for a knockout. Wilson still hasn't made the adjustment with his left hand and pulling out. Look for Stubbs to land that right hand again before the end of this round.
Adjustment. Good. Come on the back end. You need that adjustment. Come on. No rush until the spike's over. Let's go. Need that adjustment. The body shot. Work. To the body, to the head.
The hardest thing that I have a problem understanding is that how do you get knocked down from the same punch?
Stop. Turn around.
Like, come on. You know, you get caught once, shame on you. You get caught twice, come on, pick your hands up, dude.
Well, that's easy. He's just not making the adjustment, Tim. That's why.
Listen, it's easy to put your left hand up so you don't get hit with that shot.
Trey, how would you have liked to be trained by Tim Bradley?
I don't think I would like it at all. I'm just going to be honest.
Too much discipline.
He's too hardcore. He's too hardcore for me.
How is that hardcore?
Never
Just pick up
He's
your
never
left
satisfied.
hand.
He's never satisfied. You got to encourage the fighter every now and again.
Listen, man, pick up your left hand, bro. You want to stay off the canvas, pick up your left hand. He's looking for the overhand right.
Tim Bradley.
It don't take a rocket scientist to figure that out.
Stubbs is still looking for that right hand and a big left hook. He's trying to rest a little bit, and he's just looking for a big shot that he's going to try to land before this round is out.
Neutral corner. Get a neutral corner.
Hold
Take.
it. Oh, okay.
Let's go. Hurry up, guys.
By the way, you mentioned briefly the holding. He did take a point deduction for excessive holding in the fourth. So third round, he goes down 10-8 round. Fourth round goes Stubbs' way. It's 10-8 round with a point deduction. And then fifth round, 10-8 round because of the knockdown score.
Time in.
Hands up and alert.
The look you see on the face of Fred Wilson is just bewilderment. He doesn't have any answers. He's fatigued, and he's out of answers.
Hands up. Don't let him go. You're out like that. Let's go.
Remember, this is a guy who had a good amateur career. He had a win against Javier Martinez in the 2015 U.S. Olympic qualifier in Memphis. Martinez, who was a 5-time national champion and is set to make his pro debut, just signed a big contract with Top Rank. But Fred Wilson Jr., well, there's another wide sweeping right hand. He's caught 2 of them tonight, and coming to the end of this fight here. Final 10 seconds.
Stop. Pay attention, guys.
As Stubbs, second fight in 9 days. He lost a 6-round majority decision last week against Isaiah Jones. And in moments, he's going to be really happy with coming back and getting this done.
This is when things started to heat up for both guys. Boom. Big right hand from Stubbs to the chin of Wilson, and Wilson never really recovered. This is the shot that Stubbs was looking for the first 2 or 3 rounds. He finally connected. That gave him all the confidence, all the energy that he needed to continue to press forward. And good job from Stubbs, because he told us in the fighter meeting, listen, I lost my first fight in the bubble. I made the adjustments. I was a little nervous. I hesitated. I didn't see any hesitation tonight. I saw a fighter that was sure of himself, a fighter that was there to win, even though he fought a fighter in Fred Wilson who had more amateur experience and more pedigree. You couldn't tell who was the more experienced fighter tonight. Good performance from Donte Stubbs.
Right, pluses for Stubbs tonight. I gotta say that, you know what, he came out, he let his hands go. That's a start. He let his hands go. But as far as technique-wise, go back to the gym, work on your technique, son. You know, you have power in both hands. Learn to set up your power in a few ways, you know, and come back. I want to see him again, man. He has some good punching power. He's growing on our network, and I like him. I like him as a person, and he's a decent fighter.
You know, he told us last night when we asked him about last week and experience of losing majority decision Isaiah Jones. He simply said, losing sucks. And then we said, okay, but what about tonight? He said, this is going to be an entertaining fight. Last week I fought safe. I'm going to go out there with fire. He did, scored 2 knockdowns. Let's go to Mark Chinook for the scores.
Put that on him.
After 6 rounds here inside the MGM Grand, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Patricia Morse-Jarman has the bout 58-54. Max DeLuca and Chris Migliori have it 58-53. For your winner by unanimous decision, Donte Savage Stabbs.
Donte Stubbs hits Fred Wilson Jr. the first loss of his career. Stubbs is now 7-1. Timmy, we're going to get you a sandwich report as to how that impacts our main event when we come back. Plus, we'll hear from Shakur Stevenson. Don't go anywhere, folks.